Hello, my dear students. Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Geeta Bansal from Punjab University, Chandigarh. Today, we are going to talk on the module Team Dynamics from your paper Organizational Behavior. Well, after going through the lesson, you should be able to understand the concept of teams and its benefits to both the individuals as well as the organizations. You'll be able to find out the different types of teams that are emerging in today's global workplace. You should be able to outline the characteristics and winning traits of the teams. And of course, by the end, you'll be able to find out how team effectiveness can be ensured with a diversified workforce. According to Tom Peters, the amount of performance improvement that is possible from turned on teams is not small, it's enormous. Team building has become one of the most popular and widely used interventions for improving the management of industrial and government organizations. Today's organizations are utilizing teams more and more to meet customer demands and stay competitive in a changing marketplace. Teams are, of course, replacing individuals as the basic building blocks of modern organizations. The corporate sector here and abroad is gradually realizing the tremendous potential of teams, enabling the companies to take more creative and informed decisions and effective coordination without the need for close supervision. Well, as you already know, team is a group of two or more people who interact and influence each other, but has some characteristics in greater degree than the ordinary groups, including a higher commitment towards the common goals and a high degree of interdependency and interaction. In nutshell, a team is a group organized to work together to accomplish a set of objectives that cannot be achieved effectively by individuals. Before proceeding further, let's recall the difference between groups versus teams as discussed in the previous lesson. Now you know that group is where two or more people having common interests and objectives are in constant interaction with each other. A team, on the other hand, comprises of a group of people possessing complementary skills and abilities, which are put into practice for the achievement of the desired goals and objectives. Now again, it is important to remember that all the teams are groups, but not all groups are work teams. There could be a number of work teams, like a baseball team, where members have set responsibilities. It could be like a football team, where all the members work in absolute coordination with each other, or it could be like a doubles tennis team, where members have primary yet flexible responsibilities. Dear students, now let's try to find out why teams work, or what are the benefits of teams to the organizations and individuals. The basic premise behind working in teams is to encash the collective energies, efforts, abilities, knowledge, and creativity of the individuals to achieve the tasks which cannot be performed alone, which are quite voluminous in nature, complicated, complex, and are interrelated to each other. It entails several benefits to the organizations and the individuals, as would be discussed in a short while. The benefits to the organizations of teams are in the nature of its encouragement to teamwork and collaboration. Well, the organizations tend to benefit from the collaborated efforts of its members who are dispersed throughout the organizations in the form of empowered and collaborated workforce. On the other hand, the benefits of teams to the individuals are in the nature of psychological intimacy and integrated involvement. Let's understand what is psychological intimacy. The individuals tend to gain from the psychological intimacy that is the natural outcome of any team. Here, the members share a warm and affectionate relationship with each other. resulting in the feeling of security and emotional support. On the other hand, the integrated involvement, which is the second advantage to the individuals, is with regard to integrated involvement of the individuals, which is achieved through the closeness experienced during the course of activities undertaken together by the individuals. Also, it gives the members a sense of social identity where their abilities are valued and recognized by others. While psychological intimacy is more emotion based, the integrated involvement is more behaviorally oriented. This is very important to understand. Well, my dear students, we are learning about team building. Why not take some lessons on team building from the geese? I'm sure you must have heard the story of these geese in your childhood. Just recall the lessons and take some lessons on team building from these. It's going to be quite interesting. Let's see how we can do that. Well, when we watch these geese flying in the sky, we observe as each goose flaps its wings, it creates uplift for the birds that follow. By flying in a V formation, the whole flock adds 72% greater flying range than if each bird flew alone. Now, what is the lesson that we learn from this? The lesson is that if people who share a common direction and purpose and sense of community can get where they are going quicker and easier because they are traveling on the thrust of another. The second fact about the geese flying is that when a goose flies out of formation, it suddenly feels the drag and resistance of flying alone. It quickly moves back into formation to take advantage of the lifting power of the bird immediately in front of it. Now, what lesson do we learn from this? If we have as much sense as a goose, we stay in formation with those headed where we want to go. We are willing to accept their help and give out help to others. This is a second lesson in working in teams. The third fact says that when the lead goose gets tired, it rotates back into the formation and another goose flies to the point position. Now, what lesson do we learn here? The lesson is that it pays to take turns doing the hard tasks and sharing leadership. As with geese, people are interdependent on each other's skills, capabilities, and unique arrangements of gifts, talents, and resources. Thus, shared leadership and interdependence gives us each a chance to lead as well as opportunities to rest. This is another lesson we need to take from the geese. The fourth fact is the geese flying in formation honk from behind to encourage those up front to keep up their speed. Now, again, what lesson do we learn here? The lesson is that we need to make sure our honking is encouraging. In groups where there is encouragement, the production is, of course, greater. The power of encouragement is the quality of honking that we intend to seek. So, this is another lesson that we need to learn from the geese. There is another lesson that we need to take out of this geese story. When a goose gets sick, wounded, or shot down, two geese drop out of the formation and follow it down to help and protect it. They stay with it until it dies or is able to fly again. Then they launch out with another formation or catch up with the flock. A very important lesson in team building here. If we had as much sense as geese, we'll stand by each other in difficult times as well as when we are strong. Slide number 19. The gist of the story is that if we are willing to take lessons on team building from the geese, it says that we can achieve what we want provided we stick together at all times. My dear students, you must be wondering what these winning traits of teams are, or what makes a successful or a winning team. Well, there are certain traits which makes the teams winning. Let's find out these traits one by one. The most important is that teams must be small, whereby the ideal size of a team should be between 6 to 8 members. If it is more than this, the efficiency or the effectiveness of the teams might be hampered. So, preferably, an ideal team size should be maintained to enable it to become a winning team. Secondly, teams must be set specific objectives, not broader goals. That is, they should have specific goals and not broad goals. Thirdly, the teams must be given strict time targets and budgets, failing which the team efficiency would be in jeopardy. The fourth trait is that the team members must possess skills which are complementary to each other. That is, they should be interdependent on each other and must help each other in achieving the overall organizational or the team goals. Then, the teams must have a distinct methodology of working, which is very, very important. Since each team has their own core competencies and have their own style of working, it always pays to have a distinct work methodology, which will invariably make it a winning team. Then, of course, all the team members must be trained to handle projects. Why? Because since the members are interdependent on each other, if one of the team member is unable to comply due to one reason or the others, the other team members should be able to come up, take up his position and complete the task. We have learnt all these lessons from the geese as well, if you can recall. Then, the team achievements must be recognized and rewarded. Well, why are we working in teams? We are working in teams because each one of us has a core competence. We have complementary skills. So it's always paying to reward the team performance rather than the individual performance. And let me tell you that today's corporate life is teamwork. It's all about teamwork. Then it's very important that teams must have strong support from the top management. Unless the teams have strong support from the top management, come what may, they will not be able to achieve the desired objectives. Let's find out the types of teams in today's organizations which are very, very popular. In today's high-tech age, not all the teams work together physically. There has been an emergence of virtual teams, which enables the organizations to have access to expertise scattered across the globe at the touch of a screen. Another phenomena in teamwork which is gaining popularity is the self-managed teams and cross-functional teams, and of course the quality circles. My dear students, let's find out the different types of teams that are operating or working successfully in today's organizations. The most important or the most prevalent teams are the self-directed or the self-management teams. Or more specifically, these are also called SDTs or self-directed teams, or SMTs, that is self-managed teams. The second type of teams are the virtual teams. The third one are the cross-functional teams, or more specifically, these are also called CFTs. Then, another important type of team is in the nature of quality circles. I'm sure you have heard a lot about quality circles. Now, let us discuss these types of teams in a little bit of detail for your better understanding. Let's talk about SDTs or SMTs. As I have already told you, these are the self-directed or the self-managed teams. Now, these can be defined in terms of interdependent individuals who can self-regulate their behavior on relatively whole tasks. There are 4 foundations on which SMTs rests. Let's find out what are these 4 foundations. These are: 1. Creation of self-directed teams, giving them complete responsibility for the completion of the task. Second, giving them complete autonomy to manage all the work-related issues by themselves. Third, they regulate and control the performance of their members and give them frequent feedbacks. Fourth, all this is possible with the implementation of the socio-technical systems which enables the team members to enjoy enriched jobs. Now, let us understand what are socio-technical systems as used in the SMTs. These socio-technical systems are based on the premise that the organization can experience higher bouts of productivity with 2 things. 1. Optimization of the social aspects, that is, optimization of the available human resources in the organization, and the technical subsystems that are embedded in the work unit. Let's talk about the virtual teams. Well, these are the most prevalent and the most popular types of teams that are being observed in the corporate world these days. A virtual team can be defined in terms of a group of interdependent members who work together on a common task while they are located across the planet or across the various geographical boundaries. The people or the members of the team may be located across the globe. That is, one of them might be sitting in New York, the other in Japan, the other one in Germany, and the fourth one in India. But they're able to connect with each other through the virtual reality. And that is what makes the virtual teams. These are called cross-functional teams. Now, as you can make out from the name itself, the cross-functional teams are characterized by the presence of a group of people, each possessing specialized skills. For example, a CFT comprises of team members who come from varied backgrounds. Like one of them might be coming from a marketing background, one from a financial background, another one from the HR background, and another one might be from R&D. So these specialized skills are applied for the achievement of the task with a high degree of interdependence, and these cross-functional teams or CFTs are very popular and successful in completion of some specialized tasks which are given to these teams. Let's talk about quality circles. I'm sure this is the term which is most often and most commonly used, and you must have heard it somewhere in some context or the other. Well, my dear students, this concept of quality circles came into picture long time back in Japan. We know that Japan is a country which is very, very quality conscious. This is one country which believes in producing quality products. And in their quest for producing quality products, they introduced this concept called quality circles. Now, let us try to find out what exactly it is. It's not that difficult though. It is a small group of people or the employees in an organization. They meet voluntarily on a periodically basis to discuss the work-related problems. They try to find out the problems, if any, relating to any area on a regular basis, and they try to fix it up on a regular basis without leaving it unattended. Now, this is a process which aims at continuous improvement in their processing. This process of quality circle encompasses basically 4 steps, starting with planning, doing, checking, and acting. If we look at it more precisely, you can see that this is called plan, do, check, and act. Or to be more specific, it is also called the PDCA cycle, or we call it as PDCA cycle, which aims at continuous improvement in the process at the various stages of the completion of the task. Let's try to understand the model of team effectiveness. This model of team effectiveness is an outcome of previously conducted team-focused studies by researchers who feel that this model can be used by practitioners across the organizations to enhance team effectiveness. The model has outlined 3 most important variables which influence team effectiveness. These are teamwork processes, including team-defining processes, action processes, and interpersonal processes, which, if managed properly, will result in high levels of team performance, their well-being, and of course, the job satisfaction. Now, of course, with the presence of the moderators in the form of creating a lot of task interdependence and ensuring an ideal team size, all these processes will in turn lead to success of the teams, which will further lead to the creation of high-performing mental states called team potency, team cohesion, and team mental models. Now let's talk about the model of team effectiveness. I'm sure, my dear students, you'll find it quite interesting to understand how an effective team works. Well, it starts with the teamwork processes, it has certain moderators, and then it leads to team effectiveness. Now, it would be again very interesting to find out what are the teamwork processes. Teamwork processes further has three processes in terms of defining the team process, action processes, and interpersonal processes. Team defining process comprises of setting the mission, the strategy, and the goals. The action processes tries to encapsulate the monitoring and the coordinating activities. The interpersonal processes are motivation, conflict management, and of course, emotional management. Now, the moderators in team effectiveness are the interdependence of the tasks and, of course, the team size. These two important moderators play a very important role in making the teams effective. Now, when these teamwork processes and moderators are in place, it results in team effectiveness, which is visible in higher bouts of team performance, better well being and satisfaction, and of course, it leads to capacity building of the team members. Then, another important resultant is that it leads to team cohesiveness. It increases the team potency and the team mental models. Let's discuss the teamwork processes in a little bit more detail for your better understanding. Well, my dear, as you can see in the model of team effectiveness shows that team effectiveness can be achieved through effective management of the three teamwork processes which are interdependent on each other. In the sense that engaging the team in setting up the team's mission, strategy, and goals will result in higher team effectiveness and also improved action processes in the form of better team monitoring and coordination, which will in turn reduce the level of conflict of any nature and will motivate and manage the emotional sides of the team members. Let's take up these team processes one by one. First is team defining process. It encompasses engaging the members in the articulation of team's mission, strategy, and goals. Now, setting the mission entails clarifying the reasons for the teams to come into existence. That is, describing them their reason for being and also telling them about the core activity which the team is going to take care of. Secondly, it is the team strategy, which aims at outlining the roadmap which will enable them to sail through the current state to the desired state of existence. Then, of course, we have the team goals, which aims at outlining the specifications of the quantity, the quality, and the time limits within which the task is to be accomplished. Let's understand the second aspect of work team processes, which is also called the action processes. Now, implementing the team goals through regular reviews, continuous alignment of goals, and coaching and guiding and directing the team is called the action processes, which covers implementation, coordinating, team monitoring, and backup behaviors. The implementation would be that after the careful outlining of the team's mission and strategy, the next logical step is careful tracking, which involves starting the implementation, coordination, and having team support behaviors. It involves seeing through the tasks and ensuring that there are no deviations in the decided path, and, if any, corrective action should be taken immediately. The second in line is coordinating, which involves ensuring that the efforts of all the team members are directed in the same direction. Third, team monitoring and backup behaviors involves that the members act as coaches to each other and assist each other in the completion of the tasks if required. Now we move on to the interpersonal processes. Now, the actions taken by members to manage interpersonal relations at the workplace, which would cover motivating, resolving conflicts, and managing emotions of the team members. 1. Motivation. Now, this can be enhanced by the presence of top management support, absence of conflicts in team members, reducing the inequities in reward systems, right scheduling the tasks, and completing the task on time. Apart from these, team motivation can be enhanced through introducing high levels of involvement, commitment, and trust of the members. Then comes conflict management. Now, this deals with enhancing mutual understanding of the team members, which will lead them to be more creative and innovative in their quest for achievement of the goals. The third way in interpersonal processes is emotional management. Now, here, emphasis is given on encouraging the team members to be emotionally intelligent by being aware of the emotions of self and others at the workplace and managing destructive emotions, which will definitely enhance teams' effectiveness. Now, let's try to find out what are the moderators which would impact or which would improve the team effectiveness. These are the task interdependence and the team size. Now, task interdependence can be ensured when the members' tasks are designed and lined up in the manner that the task of one member is dependent upon the other team members' inputs. On the other hand, another moderator is size of the team, whereby it has been established that medium-sized teams and small teams, they perform better than the larger teams comprising of 8 to 14 members. Hence, it's always advisable that an ideal team size should be maintained for maximum efficiency and outputs by the team members. The final outcome of the process is team effectiveness. Now, the final outcome of all the above processes is team effectiveness, which results in the output which meets the expectations with regard to the standards, the quantity and quality, while at the same time enhancing the members' well-being and satisfaction and also ensuring capacity building in the members. The first would be team performance. The team's high performance is the result of effective and efficient teams, which is clearly visible in the organization's performance in terms of its increased sales, growth, profits, innovative and differentiated products being produced by the company. Another outcome of team effectiveness is increased employee well-being and their increased level of satisfaction. Now, a workplace which aims at maximizing the integration of the employees' goals of being healthy and safe and the organization's objectives of profitability and productivity creates a psychologically healthy workplace, which in turn leads to a more productive and a more committed workforce. Another outcome is job satisfaction. Now, research has established positive relationship between teamwork and job satisfaction, which in turn is an outcome of well-managed team processes encompassing well-defined team processes, action processes, and interpersonal processes. Another outcome of team effectiveness is capacity building. Now, working in interdependent teams also entails the benefits to the individuals in terms of their capacity building, as team members tend to learn more from each other in long associations during teamwork. Well, that was all about the model of team effectiveness. I'm sure by now you must have understood the various processes or the various interrelated modules that have taken place in ensuring team effectiveness. Now let us talk about the emergent states of team behavior. That is, when the team works together for a considerable period of time, there is every likelihood that there are three emergent states that appear in terms of increased team cohesiveness, increased team potency, and the emergence of mental models. Now, team cohesiveness or team cohesion can be understood in terms of increased cohesiveness and bonding amongst the team members, which leads to develop naturally during their long associations with each other. On the other hand, team potency can be understood in terms of increased belief of the team members that they can perform better as teams across various in the organizations. The third is the team mental models, which can be understood in terms of increased and shared mutual understanding between the team members, which is usually implicit in nature and enhances team's effectiveness. Well, students, let's have a quick recall of what we learned in this module. In this lesson, we have discussed about the meaning of teams, the different types of teams, why teams are important, and also we have outlined the effective models for enhancing team effectiveness. Team can be defined as a group of individuals with diverse capabilities and skills who come together to achieve the organizational goals. In today's fast-paced global environment, we have different types of teams ranging from self-managed and directed teams to cross-functional teams to quality circles to the increasing emergence of virtual teams, of course, because of this digital age. A model of team effectiveness has also been discussed. The model outlines the three most important variables which influence team effectiveness. These are teamwork processes, including team defining processes, action processes, and interpersonal processes, which, if managed properly, will result in high levels of team performance, their well-being, and job satisfaction. Of course, with the presence of moderators in the form of creating a lot of task interdependence and ensuring an ideal team size. All these processes will in turn lead to success of the teams, which will further lead to the creation of high performing mental states called team potency, team cohesion, and team mental models. Thus, teamwork is the mantra for today's organizations and has become a way of corporate life.